Hello book friends, how's it going today? Thank you so much for stopping by my channel. Today I'm kind of sad. The book I have for you today is the third and final book in the series. I don't really want it to be over. It's been an amazing series. I love how the author gave us this series. I love the characters. I love the stomachache I had. I loved it all. So it's bittersweet to sit down and chat with you about the book. The book is Emeralds, which is the third book in the Tarnished Crowns series by Annie Dyer. I did videos on the previous two books in the series, which is Grenade and Chandelier. We got to know the characters so well. I love the way she wrote this book. I love the way she unfolded the story. Like I said, I love the way my stomach hurt. It was just quite an amazing ride. I want to take a moment and remind you that, like I said, it's the third book in the series. So if you watch this video without watching my previous two videos or without reading the book, you might get spoilers. So just make sure you keep that in mind. This book, Emeralds, is told mostly by Isaac's perspective. We do get Blair and Ben's point of view as well. I have a mad crush on Isaac Everly. Like, he even just like makes me blush a little bit to talk about. Grenade is about Ben. If you saw my video or read the book, you know that that's mostly Ben's perspective. We got to know Ben so well. We got to know Blair so well in Chandelier. So I was chomping at the bit to be able to get to know Isaac so much better. And in this book we did, and I can see why Blair and Ben fell in love with him because, wow, he's just, I'm kind of speechless about him. The amazing thing I think about Isaac is he's so different than Ben, and yet they are all in a relationship, trying to have a relationship. They're organically drawn to one each other, both together and how they feel when they're together, and separately, intimately, and just in everyday life. So it's interesting to me for Blair that she could have these two men who are so very different in her life and love them both equally and fully, and have them be so different. But for her as a woman, like literally between the two of them, there's just no stone left unturned for her. They would fill all of her buckets, which I'm just saying, wouldn't that be great if all of our buckets were filled? Ben, to me, and I talked about in Ben's video, was simple to me. And I don't mean that he was like not a smart person. I mean that Ben was very black and white and could see things very black and white and didn't live in the gray much, in my opinion. Isaac was very much the opposite. Isaac lives in the gray. He thrived in the gray. He could figure out the black and white and then use the gray to navigate his life, his career, his love life, his friendships. It was just so interesting to me how different he was. I loved that Isaac knew everybody's secrets, and yet there was nothing, what's the word? Swarthy? There was nothing. He was that smart that he could figure everybody out and knew the right questions to ask and could read them and read a room and understand the intricacies of his job and people, and he knew everything. And yet he used it to his advantage, but not in like a creepy way. There are other people in this book that used secrets and manipulated people and used that to their advantage, and not for good, quite frankly. So you know, Isaac just kind of figures it all out all the time. And that's why I think he was so good for Blair, because Ben, as her protector and her lover and her best friend and her childhood friend, her first love, that's so different. And Ben was so specific as far as that went. So when Isaac came in and she found herself being completely attracted to him, it was different. She was attracted to the man she saw and how he made her feel. And she could feel him and being attracted to her. So I don't know if I'm explaining that the right way, but I think that there's a difference between somebody that you fall in love with at a young age and then somebody you meet as an adult, and how that affects you differently. Annie did not let up in this book at all. I just, I've said it twice, like my stomach hurt during Grenade, and that did not let up in this book because there's so much incredible intrigue and drama in this story that I had to take a barking break because Macy is of course laying right at my feet, and I think we got an Amazon delivery, so if you hear her barking while I was talking, I apologize. So like I was saying, Annie did not let up at all in this book, and I didn't know, I wanted to know where we were going because my well-being, my heart was just at the max. I just didn't know where we were going. At this point, in it being the third book in the series, I pretty much knew the characters that I didn't like and knew the characters I did like. Obviously, the main characters being Blair, Ben, and Isaac, I adored them. I wanted to be Blair. The characters that I knew I didn't like, you get a feeling for that there's going to be more happening with them, and yet there's also this element of surprise that Annie gave us that I was actually kind of, like I said, surprised about. The two people that I thought were going to create more havoc and be major players in the end weren't the ones that were the major players, and that when it came down to some serious stuff going down in this book, those weren't the people that affected the outcome of what happened with Blair, Ben, and Isaac. And I thought that was really interesting, and I appreciate, I've said it before, that a great book to me is when I don't know where it's going and I don't know how it's going to end. And I had hopes with this book that I wanted, of course, Blair, Ben, and Isaac to be able to find their way together, but I couldn't see how that was going to happen because this book starts in a place where they're, not to give too much away because I don't like that, but they're in a place where they're not all together. And I didn't know if that was going to happen. And yet there's these other people kind of trying to worm their way in and around. And it was it was a page turner. That's the best way to describe it. That I just couldn't stop because I needed to know where it was going. People I didn't like, characters I didn't like in this book you're going to know exactly what they are when you read them. And yet Annie's gifted writing, one of them, and I don't want to tell you, well, should I tell you? I guess I'll tell you. One of them, you felt like you didn't like her, but yet she was kind of Blair's only friend. But then she would have these endearing, sort of endearing moments. So I'm talking about Elise, obviously. And it was like, then you kind of see her for what she is, but then you feel bad for her. Yeah, but I didn't like her. I knew there was trouble associated with her, and so did everybody else that had Blair's back. The characters I did really like, and I learned, just like they came in and it was just like organic, and I just liked them a lot from their first words that they spoke, were Ivy and Mickey. And Ivy is actually Isaac's sister. Such an interesting character she is. I kind of wonder and I kind of hope that maybe it's not the end of the road for Ivy. I would love to hear more from her. I think she's so interesting. And she just, I really liked her, and I liked her and Isaac's relationship as brother and sister a lot. So, you know, and those were characters that, you know, I was like, what's going to happen with them? Where are they fitting into this story? You know, and again, like I said, people that I thought were going to create the most issue, they created issue. But man, was I surprised. I had a really personal moment with this book, and seeing I feel like almost every video I do, I get to a point where I get teary. I don't know. I mean, maybe that's, I'm too much of a softie, but there's a moment in this book for Blair, and we know it's coming. And it's in chapter 13, and I don't want to give too much away because, oh my God, stop it. Because, you know, we know when you read the book, it's something that happens and you're expecting it to happen. And Blair, everyone knows it's going to happen. And the way Annie wrote it was just, I mean, I've experienced that happening, and the death of a parent. And I dreaded it, because we know in Chandelier that the parent that dies is not well. And so I was like, oh, is she gonna write that? You know, it's hard for me because I connect with it. I have lost a parent, and recently, you know, this year it will be 5 years. And it just, you know, it still hurts, and I still miss her greatly. And so reading this from Blair's perspective and how it happened, and although, you know, of course it's as similar as it was very different. But there's still that connection of having that happen. And I understand Blair is a fictional character, but to have Annie write it in a way that was very touching to me, and oh, I don't want to cry. And I love that part, and I love that Annie could write it and affect me like this. So that was really beautiful. Okay, I didn't bring Kleenex in here with me today, so as I try to wipe my little tears away, let's switch gears completely and let's talk about the sexiness. Holy smokes. Okay. And I've talked up in my previous 2 videos about how Annie keeps surprising me with her writing, and I love that. And this is an MMF book, so in my opinion, that's very sexy. Oh my God. And it's overt. She does not shy away from anything. So it's red hot, burning up the pages kind of sexy. There's obviously something organically sexual between them. It's their attraction. It's their love and how they express their love for each other, and also being completely 100% blown away, attracted to each other. There was a part that I burst out laughing, and it wasn't a funny part, but at one point Isaac says, I drop to my knees in front of my queen and undo her trousers. And then that scene goes on. And so I thought it was so fun because it made me think of, and I don't know if I should say this, you know, there's a term, bowing to the queen, right? Okay, and I just thought it was so funny because it's like she said it but didn't say it. And I'm totally blushing, but I thought that was, I laughed about it because I was like, oh, there it is. I was kind of waiting for it. And because it's, you know, about the Scottish monarchy, you know, and, you know, princes and princesses and queens and kings, and yeah. I would 100% highly recommend this series. Oh my gosh, and you have to read the whole series. Make sure that you pick up all 3 books, start at the beginning. It is such a full story. If you like drama, if you like a little bit of political, if you like intrigue, if you like not knowing who to trust, if you love great characters, if you like sexy, I mean, you just get everything with this series. It's amazing. Highly, highly, highly recommend. Before I say goodbye, I'd like to take a moment to ask you to subscribe to my channel. This channel is my passion project. I appreciate each and every one of you that watch the videos. Keep in mind that you're not only supporting me, but you're also supporting amazing authors like Annie Dyer that I do videos on. When you like my channel and you like the video and leave a comment, that moves the video up and it gets noticed by Big Brother, which is the YouTube algorithm, right? We hear a lot about algorithms these days with Instagram and YouTube and Facebook. So if you would take a moment to subscribe, I would really appreciate it. I know Annie would appreciate it, because if you Annie Dyer in the search bar on YouTube, one of her videos that I have done will pop up. Isn't that amazing? Let me know which of Annie's books you have read in the comments below. Check out some of my other videos that I've done on her books. I'm such a fan. I love that she surprises me every time I open up one of her books. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today, guys. I'll see you soon. Bye.